My time with the Nexus 4 is up, and I've delivered my verdict on Google's latest iteration in its Nexus line of smartphones. Samsung previously held the reins, and with resounding success, this time around LG took over and delivered a similarly stunning device full of beastly tech and raw Android goodness. But with a low cost comes a few big drawbacks. Let me explain. With great elation, I'm proud to tell you that LG did a fantastic job with the outside of the Nexus 4. It is shaped in the guise of its predecessor, so it looks familiar. The rounded top and bottom really don't distinguish it from most other smartphones on the market, but the lack of any physical or capacitive buttons means the deep black screen melds with the bezel to give an extremely sleek looking phone. This is trimmed by a thin silver edging, and the sides are a contrasting angular plastic. I personally do not find that this element of the casing detracts at all, like some others think. It feels and looks nice and is necessary textural contrast from the twin Gorilla Glass 2 front and back panels. Yes, a glass back, scary thought I know, all the more to smash and smudge, but hopefully that new stronger glass does its job. In my time with LG's Nexus 4, I have found it not to scratch as terribly as the iPhones do, but I'm awfully aware that it's a glassy phone. But hit the light at just the right angle and some pretty sparkles shine through the glass, a neat addition that, while not groundbreaking, is an excellent contrast to the same old boring cases being pushed at the moment. I did wish they offered up a white model of this phone that would display this effect more prominently. The bottom is for charging and the top is for headphones. The right side unlocks it and the left side rocks the volume. These inputs are soft on the fingers, but distinguishable nonetheless, and the bottom of the front face emits a pulsating notification light. It certainly doesn't tread new ground in its size and thickness, but it isn't beastly. It fits nicely in hand and is very sturdy. On the inside of the Nexus 4, LG gave a top-notch feature set, bursting with a quad-core 1.5GHz CPU, Adreno 320 GPU, 2GB of RAM, NFC and Bluetooth 4.0. The Nexus 4 is pretty well stacked to compete in the market, especially for only $349. Its operating system performs flawlessly. As is to be expected, this device was created to show you just how well Android should run given the correct internals. It performs comparatively well against the likes of the Galaxy S3 and Optimus G, which are both top performers for 2012, but with a few stark contrasts. You can't utilize LTE data speeds, even though they have reported that there are actually LTE antennas within the Nexus 4 that aren't being used at this time. The choice to omit its inclusion was so that Google and LG could limit its coordination with all the carriers around the world that use varying LTE services, and would have caused the requirement of multiple handsets for different markets. Offering one unified device made sense then. Mind you, support of HSDPA meant that I was getting in excess of 12 megabytes per second downstream on the Optus network. Internal storage for me was its major detractor, as you were fixed to an 8GB option or a 16GB alternative and no expandable memory like other Android phones. This is a huge problem. On the 8GB review unit, I filled it with 2 big games, 1 movie and some apps and photos. I needed more constantly. As a gaming device, it's fantastic. But I do have to say that the Nexus 4 overheats something fierce at the top end of the phone, worse than I think I've come across before. The 2100 mAh battery as well did enough to last a day, but it wasn't a front runner, and I basketed it with the iPhone 5 a little. Continuous video tests failed at just around the 5-hour mark. The True HD IPS display that LG chose for the Nexus 4 was a superb choice. It rocks a brilliantly bright and true to colour 318 ppi pixel density that is on par with the best smartphones of 2012. It solidifies the expectation of a Nexus device and is exceptional value for money, particularly the 4.7-inch span that some may find larger than necessary. I find it necessary to be large. There is too much capability in smartphones these days, and when you are featuring the most advanced evolution of the Android software, you need the best viewing experience to showcase it. The only criticism, the depth of some colours felt washed out in certain screens in comparison to Super AMOLED displays. But with all this amazing tech for an outrageous price tag, the standout feature still remains to be the software, because this is a Google handset first and foremost and will always run the latest vanilla version of its Android operating system before any other device. For Android fanboys and mobile enthusiasts, the Nexus line is a crucial set piece in the market, and it's easy to forget how much each manufacturer actually adopts its own take on the software for better or for worse. Some of the impressive features of Android Jelly Bean 4.2.1 start at the lock screen. It is no longer a place of simple information, rather swiping across the right-hand bezel gives quick launch to the camera, and swiping across the left will display pages of user-defined widgets without entering the phone. Keep swiping and you can add additional pages based on your preferences, but they are limited, and to be honest, I never actually found them that useful. I got more use out of access to the notifications tab and Google Now from the lock screen. I think it would actually be better to make Google Now the displayable information on the lock screen, so that may prompt people to invest more time in getting it set up, which is actually a fantastic feature itself. It is far more intuitive and useful than Siri currently, and preempted a lot of my daily movements with useful information like traffic reports, meetings, and sport team notifications. It isn't perfect by a long shot, but a glimmer of hope for a remotely AI-driven mobile experience. General swiftness of the UI is the impressive standout, and it certainly makes great use of the hardware architecture. If you do not use multitasking on an Android device like your life depended on it, then you are not using an Android device proficiently, especially when the Nexus 4 is a fluid beast in this regard. The major employment in this iteration of Jelly Bean is Google's acceptance that multiple people often use the same device. While this is not true on the Nexus 4, it is important for tablet devices. I now have the ability to log in under multiple personas or accounts that individually tailor the tablet device to a specific account or need. Perfect, brilliant, very business orientated. Quick settings are also accessed quickly with a dual finger swipe from the top. The Nexus 4 is designed with the capacity to be a brilliant multimedia device, but lack of storage meant I had to continually recycle and change what movies and games I wanted to run. The speaker positioned on the back panel provided good quality sound, and call quality in general was superb. The standout here, besides a fantastically quick and smooth web browsing experience using the default Google Chrome, was the 8 megapixel rear facing camera. It provided lovely pictures, but it was the new UI that takes center stage. Rather than on-screen indexes and tabs, it is swiftly accessed by tapping on the screen to reveal a circular design that prompts 6 possible swipe options that reveal further features. In time this becomes a quick process, but I tended to use my thumbs, which did obstruct the view of most of the icons. Fortunately, they included an icon to launch this without an on-screen hold. The Nexus line of devices for me makes the greatest sense. You get a true competitor to the Apple line, as it is pure Android and not marred or made by manufacturer additions. The price is very competitive, and Google shares the love amongst its vendors. But stipulation seems to hold these devices back. For me, the lack of storage options killed the Nexus 4. I need far more space than 16 gig because the rest of the specs make this phone otherwise my favorite Android device to use in 2012. I hated so much that this killed the experience for me. I want nothing more than to invest in the Nexus 4 and Nexus 10, but can't sacrifice quantity even when the quality is so amazing. Lack of LTE at this point in smartphone history is not a huge loss, and if you look past all the small storage issues, smudgy glass exterior, and minor overheating in favor of the punchy specs and latest evolution of the Android experience, then this device is amazing. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This has been Kurt from KABOOtech. Thanks for watching.